Hi, yes. Could I get a Elton John biography with a side of psychedelic drugs? Awesome. Yes, to go, please. Thanks. So before we begin, I put out videos every week, movie reviews, vlogs, all different cool things like that. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, turn on notifications, join the family. And today we're talking about Elton John's biography, Rocketman. So Rocketman is a psychedelic biography about Elton John's life. Psychedelic, you might ask. Well, psychedelic in the sense of it's his life, but with crazy, surreal themes and scenes sprinkled in throughout the movie. And that's all I'm really going to say about the plot. Usually I do a bit more intro, but not today. And the reason I'm not doing that is part of the highlight of seeing this film was learning all about the highs and the lows and all the crazy stuff that's been going on in Elton John's life. Because he had a crazy life. Now, if you're around during when Elton John went through the different periods of his life, you probably already know it. But if you're like me and you weren't, then it was a real nice treat to learn all the things about his life. And when I say there's a lot of Elton Johns in the movie, I mean because throughout this film it really shows the different phases of Elton John's life and the way he's evolved to stay updated with the times and to, I guess, improve himself. Some would be improvements, others not so much. But in the end, he came out on top. So as we do, let's start off talking about the good things of the film. And we can't talk about the good things without talking about the music. Now, I love Elton John's music. I'm talking Tiny Dancer, Rocketman, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. I could go on for ages, but I won't because I want to leave some of the songs a surprise for you. But it was so cool not to just see him, every song was him up on stage. They managed to incorporate the songs into the era of the life that he was, and it shows where he was in his life, and it kind of helped to pinpoint certain eras of his life. Taron Egerton. I had some people before the movie even came out go, Jacob, Taron Egerton's going to be woeful in the role. Have you seen Elton John and Taron Egerton? All I'm ever going to be able to think about when I see this movie is the Kingsman with the spies and the actions and the blah 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 blah. I know film's subjective, but what? You haven't even seen the movie yet. And can I say, did anybody see the movie with Tom Hardy, Legend? That was an excellent movie. It's about these twins, the Cray twins, back in the 60s of London, doing all murders, all that stuff, you know. Really good movie to check out if you hadn't. But one of the Cray twins, Ronnie, he's got a boyfriend in the film, and he's played by Taron Egerton. And he plays it excellent. It's the subtleties that he does to really bring the role home. And also, he's an actor. He's a good actor. Doesn't matter what the role is. If you have the right look for it. I mean, obviously, you can't have a role for a woman in her early 20s and have it played by an 80-year-old man. But if you kind of fit the role, as long as you're a good actor, I have confidence that you can do it. And so my confidence was quite high coming into this role for him, and he exceeded my expectations. He has those subtle mannerisms that Elton John does that when you watch Elton John, you don't pick up on. When you watch the movie, you'll go, oh, that's something that Elton John would do. And it's not just his mannerisms, his voice. He has an excellent singing voice. He has some goddamn singing chops. And if you think it's dubbed, there's this video that's out with Elton John playing piano, Taron Egerton singing. They're singing Tiny Dancer. Whoa. I mean, for starters, that would be an amazing experience to sing Elton John's song in front of Elton John. Scary as hell, but still super awesome. And then at the end, they sing together. I sidetrack in these videos quite a bit. I apologize. But he's a great singer as well. And then what I don't think is as important, because if you're a good actor, the looks aren't as important. But there were some moments in the film where I thought they used stock footage of Elton John, and it took me a second to go, oh no, that's actually not stock footage. That is Taron Egerton, and that was spooky. And so the next best thing in the film, weirdly, was the color grading, the mise-en-scène, the scenery, things like that. I don't know if you've ever seen Elton John, but he likes to dress quite flamboyantly, crazy colors, crazy attire, I guess. And they really show that in the film, not through just Elton John's costumes, but through different points of his life, I guess. So there's certain points where, so when he's in certain situations, the atmosphere, I guess, really does match it. When you see the movie, that first opening dance number, you'll understand what I mean by color grading. But it was really utilized well in the film. And so I know what a lot of people are thinking. Because Bohemian Rhapsody came out so close, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people trying to compare it. And they're going, Jacob, how does it compare to Bohemian Rhapsody? Jacob, is it like Bohemian Rhapsody? Jacob, which film do you think's better, Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocketman? Well, it's a bit too close to say, guys. Let's just calm it down a second. But you are right to say that. They are very similar. But what you have to remember is they did live similar lives. And when I say similar lives, I mean in the sense of they grew up in a similar era and they had to overcome a lot of the similar obstacles in their life. But deep down, they are very different movies. For starters, each person themselves are individuals and they have different views and they have different ways of life and they have different ways that they look at things. As, you know, people do. But also just the way that the film's shot. Bohemian Rhapsody is a more serious biopic, whereas Rocketman has a more surreal, comedic-ness to it. And as I'm saying it, I'm thinking back to the film, and it had a lot of dark, really, really emotional moments. And Bohemian Rhapsody did the same thing, but they are very different stories in the way that they're shot and the way that they're presented, I guess. They are still a bit similar though, I'm not going to deny that. And I would like to also add, I understand that there's politics involved with the Oscars and award shows and things like that. I get it. And I'll need a bit more time to look back and reflect on it, but I'd have to say that Taron Egerton's performance is very much on par of Rami Malek's. And I do really appreciate both of the actors, because if you look at both of the actors, they are quite different to the counterparts that they're playing. I think Rami might have done it a tad bit better, but I think that's because I've had a bit more time to reflect on it. But I mean, they both did excellent. Alright, let's get back to the review at hand. So, all the rest of the film was great, and the rest of the cast was great. It's really hard to talk about the rest of the cast because Elton John is such a standout person in himself, and Taron Egerton played him so well. It's hard to really focus on the other characters because of how well he did. They all did great at being supporting characters though, and I think they all played their roles how they should. My main quarrel, I guess, with the film is it probably could have been a bit shorter. There were some parts that dragged on a little bit, but even though it could have been tightened up a little bit, I was so enwrapped in the film, I really had a great time. This was one of those films where it had some of those really joyful moments where you're just smiling and you want to sing along and that really feel-good vibes, but at the same time, there were some parts of the film that were heartbreaking, really heartbreaking. There was this one scene in the film, it got to me, you know, I really felt what he was going through. It was one of those things, and I won't give anything away, but it was one of those things where you're reaching for something and it's right there, and yet you've got to come to that acceptance that what you want, you're never going to be able to have it, you know? And that scene and the look in Taron Egerton's eyes, you didn't need any words for it. He sold that beautifully. Alright, anyway, so I'm still on my film grading process because I've noticed that I need to work on how I grade the films. We'll work on that together though. But for the film overall, my enjoyment of the film, I'm going to give it a 9. Any higher, we're going to have to start going into the decimals because I'll never give a film a 10 out of 10 because I think there's no such thing as a perfect film. Because it's all subjective. You can't measure it and say it's exactly this good. But it's probably the second best film I've seen all year because you know it's not going to top Endgame for me. As for the quality of the film, I'm going to go an 8. And that's purely just because I thought it could have been tightened up a bit. But for people that are real hardcore Elton John fans, they're probably screaming at me through their phones or monitors saying, "Jacob, it should have been longer. It should have been 4 hours long." It's alright. Just breathe. Alright guys, so that's all I've got to say on this film. As I'm filming this, I'm literally about to stop recording, hop on my booster board, and just rush straight to the movies, because I'm going to see Godzilla tonight. So stay tuned, because that review is going to be coming out very shortly. I also just posted up my look forward to June, which is basically a nice little package summarising all the movies I'm looking forward to in June. I post one of them at the end of every month to look forward to the next month, because I know there's a lot of people, unless you're like me, who's constantly on the cinemas website looking at the movies that are coming forward, and you probably need a bit of a reminder, so make sure you check that out. I'm going to link it down below. I'm also going to link below my Instagram. Make sure you give that a check out because I'm posting on my story every day. And I don't want to brag, but my content is okay. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. If you haven't, what are you doing? You're clearly watching these videos on a regular basis. And if you're not, trust me, you're going to. And leave this video a like. Make sure you comment down below if you've seen the movie and let me know how it compares to other biographical films. And so thank you again for being here, guys. And as always, work hard and be lucky.